Shalom and welcome to another episode in our series called Faith Journeys with God in the Land. Today I'm actually on the west side of Masada, standing on the Roman ramp. I'm standing on the Roman ramp that was built in about 71 or 72 AD. This ramp was built by Silva, the general, who had his camp just in front of me, and the Romans enclosed close to 1,000 Jews here on top of Masada, as these Jews were finding refuge from the Romans who were hunting them down. Long story short, as Josephus tells us, this Roman ramp was built in order for the Romans to get their battering ram up to the top of this palace fortress originally built by Herod the Great in the early 30s BC. And by the time they got to the top, the Jews already decided to take their own lives rather than to fall at the swords of the Romans. It's an amazing story. In fact, there was a movie made, I think in 1979. It's a long, drawn-out movie starring Peter O'Toole. It's about a 4-hour movie. It should only be about 2. So it's, in my opinion, it's a slow movie, but it preserves the story of Masada. Now, if you just look around me, and incidentally, we've done different episodes here at Masada. We are right on the edge of the Judean Desert. On the east side is the Dead Sea. And look how barren and dry and desolate this area is. So I walk down here from the top of the Masada to this ramp that was built in order to get their battering ram up to the top. In fact, let's walk up this ramp. There's actually some steps here, as you see right there, and it's so interesting that this ramp was built with such perseverance by these Romans that they used anything that they could find, even acacia wood. In fact, you can see acacia wood still protruding out of this. There's a piece right there. You see it right there? Right there. This is 2,000-year-old wood, if you will. The acacia tree grows in the desert, but what the Romans did is they took their big battering ram up this thing. All the while the Jews lobbed stones, big stones, bigger than bowling balls, down to the Romans, who of course used slaves and other Jews as well to build this thing. So we're walking up the side of this Roman ramp, looking at, here's some more wood popping out. It's really amazing. This is such a dry area. And there's some wood right there, as we see our destination to the top here on the west side. So the Romans ended up coming to the top, and other than a few Jews, a few women and children who decided not to take their lives, they were spared. Maybe they hid away, and the Romans had nothing really to conquer. They spent all this time to build this ramp, and yet they did not even have to lift a sword. Josephus is the one who preserves this story. So as we walk up this Roman ramp, what can we talk about in terms of our faith journey? Now, as you have heard the story, about 1,000 years before Herod the Great built this as a palace fortress, I think David used this standalone mountain as his place of refuge against King Saul. Of course, the ramp wasn't here yet, but maybe he climbed to the top. And that would have been a difficult climb. On the east side, there's what is called the snake path today. And you can run up or walk down. It's fairly quickly, if you will. That was the only way up and down, by the way, when the Jews were finding refuge up here, when the Romans were here. But if we spin around and take a look at this ramp from a side angle, there it is. Right there, you can see how steep it was. But the ramp was meant to get to the top. Now, I like to view God as sort of a ramp for us. Sometimes we have our eyes on our goal. We can't quite get there. The goal here for the Romans, of course, was not a pleasant one. They were aiming to deal once and for all with these rebellious Jews. But God provides us ramps, if you will, to get to the top of our challenges of life. He is always there to promise his presence, of course, in the midst of our walks and journeys and uphill climbs of life. But when we look to the top, we go, wow, I can't make it. But with God and trusting in his strength, it's like going up a ramp. He provides that encouragement, that strength, that fortitude that we have to reach our goals in life. God is there to help us. And whereas the Romans took a battering ram up this ramp back in 73 AD or so, we can walk up any trail of life knowing that we do it in God's strength. So it's a great life lesson, I think, especially when we're worn out, the path is hard, and we don't think that we can make it to the top. Maybe the pathway is steep and it catches us out of breath. But God is that ramp that leads to us experiencing new adventures in life and certainly reaching our goals as we entrust our walk of faith to him. So be encouraged in this very beautiful place. It's a desolate place, the Judean Desert, and this west side of Masada, word that means fortress. As we understand that God has a way to provide us a way to reaching our goals in serving and honoring Him. So be encouraged today with these thoughts, and until next time, shalom.